At this time of year, your ministers, program staff, and your elected board begin considering the next fiscal year priorities and goals. We reflect on what the congregation needs to thrive and what the wider community may need from our church. The stewardship team, one of our many ministry teams, has been meeting in earnest for several months already, imagining and considering and creating a stewardship campaign that helps more folks deepen in their commitment to the congregation. Money can be a tricky and trippy topic for a congregation, for individuals, for families to talk about. Each of us has a very different relationship to money. Some of us talk directly and with ease about the money we have, the money we spend, the money we contribute to causes of justice or charities, and the money we contribute to our spiritual home. And some of us are really uncomfortable speaking about specifics when it comes to money, believing it should be a private matter. And all of us can find ourselves somewhere on the spectrum between those two places. In this congregation, we strive to make room for that whole range. And the truth is that UU Schenectady cannot continue to exist without asking all of us to be generous. All of us here in the circle, all of us in the circle on Zoom, and to be generous with our financial contributions specifically. Some of us haven't given to a church before, and we might think, well, I give to Sierra Club X number of dollars, and I give to NPR Y number of dollars, or Planned Parenthood Z number of dollars. The UU Schenectady giving is different. This is not a charity. Their work, those organizations and many others, are deeply important, to be sure. But they often have thousands, if not millions, of donors. We have 354 members and 204 pledging units. That is, individuals as well as families who pledge together.
Christy Moulter has created a beautiful brochure to let you know some of the aspirations of the board, the ways that our shared generous gifts help to contribute to a thriving congregation, and some graphs and math for the folks who like that. On the front of the brochure, you'll see this year's logo, "Connected through love, we nurture the flame." The pandemic has resulted in a lot of distance, intended and also unintended. So as COVID wanes, we're very intentionally asking each of us to help close the gap. Keep the distance that feels safe to you, health-wise, and participate in the congregation's offerings so that you feel a sense of belonging, of mattering, of connection. The pledge goal as set by the Board of Trustees is $490,000. The beautiful pledge brochure helps lay out some of the numbers as well as the aspirations for the coming year. If we divide the current year's budget, that is this fiscal year 21-22, which is $623,949, if we divide that by the 356 members, it equals approximately $1,750 per person. But we know it isn't that simple. There certainly isn't a one-size-fits-all pledge. There are several of us in the congregation who are carrying significant debt: medical debt, student loan debt, house debt, car debt. We know that some people have been significantly impacted by the pandemic, some even losing jobs or child support, while others of us have not seen as much difference in our income or expenses. We know that some families are living close to the edge, and others have more savings, investments, and property. Many of us were raised in middle-class families. Some of us were raised with wealth and access and power of the upper middle class. Some of us were raised in working-class families, or the working poor, or barely getting through around the poverty line. We span the financial spectrum and class spectrum. What you were taught about money when you were growing up can often be subtle and still hold influence over how we think about money when we're adults. Notice what comes up in you and maybe consider the ways you want to think about money, to use money. Having healthier relationships to finances allows us to think about money as a tool, even as we know that there are those who use it as a weapon to get what they want when they want it. When we pool our financial resources together, so much is possible. So when we think about stewardship, it helps to think about the cost of running a congregation. Some of our families give as a unit, and a few of our families have 2 or more givers in the family. If we divide the current budget by the 204 current pledging units we have, it's about $3,059 per unit, or $59 per week. We know that we have a number of families for whom this is an unreachable amount, and we know that a few of you are giving at the maximum that you can give. For those of us who are not yet at that threshold and can afford an increase, we really hope you'll join us in reaching towards that goal of $59 a week or more. That said, we have a handful or so of youth members and elder members, also known as emeritus, emerita, or emeritix members, who can only offer a small amount or none at all. We value and cherish these members. We value your generosity, your history and heritage, your future and present presence. And we have some families who are able to contribute at a much larger level. Your generosity of financial gifts help make it possible for UUSS to do its work here and in the wider community. We appreciate your presence, your present presence too.
You have, or you will very soon, receive an email from Jim Schlembach, the Stewardship Chair, with your ask letter. That email will also have a brochure and a pledge card attached. And in the next week or so, we hope you look at that beautiful brochure and the pledge card and take some time to have some conversation with family members or your higher power, or sit quietly alone, maybe with a chalice, and consider how you'd like to be able to contribute this year to the congregation. And then bring that card back, or if you can't join us on March 27th, to mail it back ahead of time. On Celebration Sunday, March 27th, we'll celebrate our shared commitments as a whole community. There'll be music, treats, and shared ritual of generosity involving our pledge forms and a small gift that you'll receive to say thank you. The Reverend Lauren Smith, the Director of Stewardship and Development of the Unitarian Universalist Association, will be preaching. You would have heard how much the superheroes love them. You'll hear that whenever we get to share that video with you. And we hope that the choir will finally get to sing. To start the campaign, the stewardship team asked 4 groups of lay leaders to spend a lot of time caring for the financial health of the congregation, and that includes the Board of Trustees, the Finance Advisory Committee, the Investment Advisory Committee, and the Stewardship Ministry team. And because there's some overlap between all of those groups, that's about 18 pledging units. Our pledges for the fiscal year thus far, at 14 of those pledging units that have come in, is just over $75,000 towards our goal. That's an awesome start. If you can't attend on Celebration Sunday, we hope you will mail in that pledge form, fill it out online so we can include it in the shared generosity. And we're so grateful that we get to work with the stewardship team, just a great group of folks. If you have any questions about this year's campaign, you can meet over at the fireplace by the sound room on the kitchen side of the building, the welcome table side of the building, just after the service. Or if you're here on Zoom, stay in the main room rather than go to a breakout room, or leave the breakout room if your computer device sends you there. And Jim Schlembach will be on Zoom to answer some questions if you have any. Let us grow in compassion, celebrate joy, create justice and care for the earth, worship and inspire, learn together and build community as we celebrate the ways that we are connected through love as we nurture the flame. We hope in this stewardship season you give until it feels good. With our shared commitment, we can accomplish just about anything. This morning, one of our newest members, Stephanie Maslenko, will share a generosity testimonial to get our campaign started, followed by a reflection from Ernie Hall, a longtime member and currently serving on your board of trustees.